Perfect, thank you very much for joining me. Yes, my name is Sean and you're watching MLS Does Predictions for Week 18. I think we're halfway. Let's do it. Perfect, thank you very much for joining me. Yes, and if you're new to this, hit that subscribe button. My name is Sean and you are watching me do predictions to MLS games. If you were watching me on Twitch, which I would assume you didn't because I don't think anybody really watched it. But anyway, if you're not on Twitch, go over there and follow me and that and all that kind of stuff. I want to try and make past 50 followers or something, whatever the hell it is. But anyway, that's a plan for there. And I want to try and see if I can try to get to 300 by the end of the season. I could possibly try to do that. It is going to be an interesting try, but anyway, I digress. But anyway, it is the start of nearly the halfway part of the whole thing, so I'm looking forward to this. During the week, it was interesting. I don't think anybody really predicted what was going to happen because there was a lot of strange predictions, a lot of results. Sorry, Cincinnati 4-all against New York City FC. They were like 3-0 up in 30 minutes. Then New York City scored another 3 in 5 minutes. Chicago Fire beating Philadelphia 1-0. Minnesota beating Minnesota beating Galaxy. Seattle Sounders getting beat by Montreal at home too. Portland winning. Vancouver drawing against New England Revolution. It's an interesting season, so I might as well crack on with the first one, which is Toronto against Seattle Sounders. Now, Seattle Sounders, like I said, got beaten by Montreal there last time, which is very surprising for Seattle because Seattle were actually doing quite well, and they're coming up against a Toronto team who got beaten by Columbus Crew last time out as well. So again, it is going to be an interesting season because everybody doesn't. I did put out in my Twitter that you're kind of, when you're watching other leagues, you kind of sit and go, yeah, I know who's going to win this, and then you're kind of surprised that they didn't. In MLS, you go, oh, they're going to win this. Oh, they actually did. It's a bit weird, but anyway, Toronto against Seattle. Toronto at home, kind of starting to get into. They were trying to get into a bit of form, beating Atlanta and beating Chicago at home, but then they got beaten by Columbus Crew, which is a bit surprising. But they're coming up against the Seattle team who also lost last time out. But I would say two of them kind of similar in the outputs, but I would say home and Norway. But I think Seattle probably the better team, so that's why I went for like a 2-1 win to Seattle. Seattle still are a far better team. Toronto still need that insignia to basically start producing. So yeah, 2-1 win to Seattle. The next one is Vancouver against LAFC, who basically bought Bale and Kilkenny, among others. So they're going to be quite a scary team. I don't think they're to start. Kilkenny's already in training, but I'm not 100% sure when he's going to be able to start. They're coming up against a Vancouver team who you'd be surprised to know aren't doing too bad. Vancouver drew against New England, like I said, beat Dallas away from home, got stuffed by Seattle, but beating Real Salt Lake, who are doing okay, beat Sporting Kansas City, who are not doing okay. So they're very all over the place. But LAFC being LAFC, haven't really lost a game since that Austin game, the beating Columbus Crew, you would suspect. Beat San Jose, who you would expect. Red Bull and Dallas, not too bad. So I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win to LAFC, just for the fact that they are the better team. Vancouver at home can't surprise anybody really on their day, so I wouldn't be too surprised if it was a tighter game. But I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win, just for the fact is LAFC. The next one is NYCFC against Atlanta. New York started off doing very well. Sorry, they didn't start off after the Champions League. They started off doing very well, starting to get back into things, and then Ronnie Dyer left, and then they haven't done all that great. They drew with Colorado. They got beaten by Philadelphia and drew 4-4 with Cincinnati. Now they're coming up against Atlanta team who are probably not doing as well as they should be doing. They got beat by Red Bull and Toronto last time out, and the only win in the last 6 was against Inter, and I think that was Inter getting the player sent off in the first 10 minutes, I think it was. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to New York City FC, just for the fact is Atlanta are poor, and New York City still have a good set of players on them. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win on that one. The next one is Columbus Crew, who are 16th, coming up against the Philadelphia team, who are 3rd overall. They used to be Philadelphia to me. I think they have 8 draws this season, which isn't great if they're trying to. Well, they only lost 2 and they have the best defensive record in the league, so that's not too bad. But they're coming up against a Columbus Crew team at home, who are starting to get up a bit of momentum, beating Toronto, draw against Real Salt Lake and Charlotte, and then beating Atlanta. So this is probably going to be a good wee game for Columbus Crew to basically annoy Philadelphia. So that's why I'm going to go for like a 1-all. I don't think Philadelphia can score, but they're not going to really concede that many. I think there's just one mistake in them, and I think that's where Columbus Crew are going to get this goal in. So I'm going to go for like a 1-all. The next one is the New England Revolution against Cincinnati. Now, New England, who were doing crap, doing very well once they got out of the Champions League. Bit of a trend here if you're following. And then they started doing okay now at the moment. In the last 6, they're the only team not to lose a game. They've won, drew, won, drew, won, drew. So, and this is the next game where you would suspect, this is going to be a draw or a win, sorry. You could think that, but Cincinnati are doing very well at the moment as well. Drawing against New York City, as like I said, beating Orlando and drawing against Philadelphia. So they already played New England already this season. It ended in a 3-2, and do you know what? I think it's going to be the same. I'm going to go for like a 3-2 win as well for New England Revolution. They're just a better team at home, and Cincinnati are a good team, but their away record compared to New England's home record kind of are similar. So you know where I'm going with it. The next one is Minnesota against Real Salt Lake. Now, Real Salt Lake are a strange team. They are 6th overall in the league. I believe they are 3rd in the Western. So with a goal difference, just A plus goal difference. And they're coming up against a Minnesota team who are like 10th in the Eastern or Western, sorry. Not doing very well, unfortunately, because I like Minnesota. They won their last game against LA Galaxy, which was a bit of a surprise because their record wasn't great going into that game. So they're coming up against a Real Salt Lake team who drew their last game against Columbus Crew. The beaten teams you suspect them to kind of beat, if that makes any sense. Then again, they beat Austin, which is a good result. And then they beat Montreal, who are 2nd, I think, overall, which is, no, they're 5th, they're 2nd, and you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a 1-0 win to Real Salt Lake, just for the fact is they're in a better shape at this stage in the season. So them away from home, I know is going to be a bit difficult against the Minnesota team, who are not too bad with a home record. Granted, their last 3 games they haven't won at home. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a 1-0. The next one is Sporting Kansas City against New York Red Bulls. San Jose, who are 3rd from bottom, won a game against Nashville, which was a bit surprising. And then they got beaten by Seattle. So they're getting beat by teams kind of above them, which isn't great because there's only 3 teams below them. And now they're coming up against a Red Bull team who are starting to pick up the things. They started off very poorly at home, and then done very well and doing very well at home. And then they kind of switched during that game against Inter, where now they're doing very well at home and now doing very badly away from home. Sure, why not? And so this game's going to be away from home, but the teams that they got beaten by away from home are Charlotte, who are very good at home, surprisingly, LAFC, who are very good, and Inter, who can beat probably anybody on their day. They just sometimes they forget. So again, they're coming up against Sporting Kansas City, who I kind of feel sorry for at the moment because they're a good team, but they're just, things are not clicking for them. So I'm going to go for like a New York Red Bulls 2-1 win to them. Sporting Kansas City, I do think they can get a goal in this one. This is probably a game that screams that they can probably win 1-0, but I think New York Red Bulls can score quite a few goals. and Sporting Kansas City have been letting them in badly. The next one is Houston against Charlotte. Houston actually very surprisingly okay at this moment. I was trying to look for them in the league, and I thought they were kind of like 18th, 19th, they're 17th. Okay, it's a big league, but in the last 6, they haven't drawn anything. They've lost 4 and 1, 2. Beaten teams like LA Galaxy, good, 3-0 away from home. Beaten Chicago Fire. Okay, but they're coming up against the Charlotte team, who are, like a lot of teams, very poor away from home. Well, that's not really true, to be fair. A lot of teams are very strange this season. Charlotte is probably the only team away from home who have a poor record because they haven't won a game away from home. So that was giving me the idea of Houston to be winning 2-0. Houston have a good wee record at home. They've kind of won half of the games that they should be playing. Sorry, they won 4, drew 3, and lost 2. So they have not a bad wee record at home. So I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win on that one. The next one is Nashville against Portland Timbers. Nashville only won the 1 game in the last 4 at home, whereas Portland haven't won a game in a while. They've only won the 1 game away from home, so that's not great. Portland are doing okay at home. They won their last 2 games again, like I said, Houston and Colorado, which is a good result. And Nashville, who are 9th, only lost the 1 in the last 6. That was against Sporting Kansas City, and that was at home. In the BT, the season's all over the bloody place. This is why it makes this interesting to predict. I'm going to go for like a 2-2. I think the 2 teams are just well matched. I think Portland away from home do have a poor record, but Nashville have an okay record at home. I think Portland can this is probably where it's going to be a game where Portland will surprise you, but you know what I mean, by not losing. The next one is San Jose Earthquakes against Chicago Fire, who I think won a game. Yeah, they're starting to win games, which is quite surprising, but they're against teams that polar opposite of each other. Chicago Fire beat DC United, who are bottom, and then they beat Philadelphia, who are 3rd. So this is MLS, and then they're coming up against the San Jose Earthquakes team, who are 2 spaces below them. Lost their last 2 out of 3 against LAFC in Real Salt Lake. And this is going to be their first home game back in quite a while, actually. Yeah, in a month. So it's going to be a good one. I'm going to go for like a 2-1 win to San Jose, just for the fact is they are at home. They have a good wee record at home. So I'm going to go for like a 2-1 win. Chicago Fire could get a good few goals in this one, but just for the fact is San Jose are at home. They're not bad. The next one is Orlando against DC United. DC United, who are bottom badly, like awfully at the moment. Awfully, yeah, that's its county in Ireland. By the way, letting 27 goals, which is not as bad as San Jose Earthquakes, but you know they've lost 9, so that's not great. They're not scoring many goals either. So again, coming up against Orlando, who are 10th. Got beaten by Cincinnati, but beaten Houston and all that kind of stuff, and getting beaten by New England. Sorry, drawn. Dallas got beaten by Austin, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win to Orlando, just because DC United are poor. Literally, that's the short straw of it. Orlando at home always have a good game, regardless if they win or draw or lose. They always score goals at home. So I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win at that one. The next one is Colorado Rapids against Austin. Austin now are back up to 2nd with a win at Charlotte. Charlotte are very good at home. They beat Montreal as well. So this is kind of where the record I said they kind of need to beat the teams above them because they were doing very well against teams that below them. They beat LAFC, they beat Montreal, and they beat Charlotte, who are very good at home, like I said. So this is going to be an interesting one. Colorado Rapids are 23rd. It's not great record for them because they done very well last season. They got beat by Portland, got beat by Nashville, and got beaten by Sporting Kansas City, but beat LAFC and they beat Seattle. So I'm going to go for like an Austin 1-0 win because, you know, what do I know? It's just a strange season overall, but I think Austin are 2nd for a reason because they are a very good team. The next one is Dallas against Inter. Dallas are a strange team. I like Dallas, but they're a very young team and they're kind of sporadic at the moment. They've only won in the last 6. Only won the one in the last 6, and that was against Orlando. They got beaten by LAFC, Vancouver, Minnesota, and Vancouver. And they're coming up against an Inter team who are starting to move up the ranks. The last game that they lost was against Atlanta, and then out of the last 6, they've only drew 2 against Philadelphia and DC United. You know how those two teams are very similar because they drew. Well, yeah. I'm going to go for a Dallas win. I'm going to go for like a 2-1 win. Inter Miami, I think, are a good team, but I think Dallas have a momentum kind of behind them, so I'm going to go for like a 2-1 win. When I say momentum, they're still a good team at home, so I'm going to go for that one. The next one is, and the last one is, Galaxy against Montreal, who are 5th overall and 2nd or 3rd in the Eastern on 29 points, along with Red Bulls and Philadelphia. Granted, New York City's 1 point behind them and 2 games in hand on Red Bulls. And they're coming up against the Galaxy team, who are 6th and have a goal +1 difference. Not great. Montreal starting to win games. They've beaten teams like Charlotte, and they've beaten Seattle and beaten Cincinnati. Got beaten by Austin and Real Salt Lake and Nashville. And Montreal and Galaxy, who are 12th overall, only won the 1 in the last 6, which isn't great. That was against Austin, 4-1. So yeah, drew with Portland and got beaten by Minnesota. So this is their like 5th game on the trot at home. But I think Montreal are a good team, so I'm going to go for like a 1-1. It's going to be a good wee tight game, and it's going to be on very late at night, so I don't think I'll get to watch it. So yep, those are my predictions. I hope you enjoyed them. I know I've rambled on for a wee bit too long here, but I hope to see you on the next one, and I'll have a happy 4th of July. Bye now.